This is the story of how an actor became a murderer and changed all of American history thereafter. November 1864 marked a pivotal moment in John Wilkes Booth's life. A renowned actor and staunch Confederate sympathizer, Booth was deeply aggrieved by Abraham Lincoln's re-election. This event crystallized his resolve to impact the Civil War's outcome. Welcome to another episode of Plaid Chronicles. Booth's initial scheme, tinged with both audacity and desperation, aimed to kidnap the president.
What is wrong with you?
The audacious plan was to leverage Lincoln in a grand trade, securing the release of Confederate prisoners of war. Booth, leveraging his societal connections and cunning, began to weave a web of conspiracy, roping in several accomplices.
I go down, we all go down. Do you understand?
The kidnap plot, resembling a plot from a theatrical drama Booth might have starred in, involved intricate plans. One strategy was to intercept Lincoln on a secluded road, an endeavor requiring precise timing and intimate knowledge of the president's movements. Another, more daring plot entailed abducting Lincoln from Ford's Theater, a place where Booth's status as a celebrated actor provided him with unique access and knowledge of the layout. This plan involved lowering the president from his box using ropes, a testament to the blend of Booth's theatrical flair and criminal audacity. However, as the Civil War drew towards its inexorable conclusion, the feasibility and impact of Booth's kidnapping plot came into question. The Confederacy's waning fortunes were evident, and the war's end seemed increasingly inevitable. The strategic value of capturing Lincoln diminished as the possibility of a Confederate comeback faded. The looming Union victory cast a shadow over Booth's initial plans, forcing him to reconsider his approach. The dawning realization that kidnapping Lincoln would not alter the course of the war led Booth to a chilling conclusion. He recognized that mere abduction would fall short of the dramatic intervention he believed the South needed. In a dark, decisive moment, Booth pivoted from a plan of capture to one of killing. This shift from abduction to assassination marked a significant escalation in both the scale of Booth's treachery and the potential repercussions of his actions. Time was running out, both for the Confederacy and for Booth's ambitions. The urgency of the situation and his deep-seated animosity towards Lincoln and the Union cause propelled Booth towards this fateful decision. The plan to assassinate Lincoln was not just a desperate act of a disheartened Confederate sympathizer. It was a calculated attempt to create chaos, demoralize the Union, and perhaps in Booth's mind turn the tide of the war. Thus, as 1864 gave way to 1865, Booth's plot evolved under the pressures of war and his fervent ideology. The stage was set for one of the most infamous acts in American history. The path leading from a failed kidnap scheme to the assassination of a president was a testament to Booth's radicalization and desperation. The trajectory from November 1864 to April 1865 was not just a timeline of plotting, but a journey into the heart of one man's dark transformation, culminating in a tragedy that would echo through the annals of American history. John Wilkes Booth's plan on the night of April 14, 1865, was not merely an assassination, it was a meticulously orchestrated coup intended to paralyze the Union leadership. The targets were strategically chosen: Abraham Lincoln, the emblematic leader; Andrew Johnson, the vice president poised to take Lincoln's mantle; William Seward, the influential Secretary of State; and Ulysses S. Grant, the victorious Union general. Booth's objective was unequivocal: to create a power vacuum that would destabilize the Union and breathe life into the fading Confederate cause. The day began with Booth meticulously planning his moves. His familiarity with Ford's Theater afforded him an intimate knowledge of its layout and routines.
As Booth makes his way toward the presidential box, he is seen, but no one stops him.
He was well known to everyone, a popular actor, of course.
He knew the presidential box would be poorly guarded. Lincoln's security was lax compared to modern standards. Booth spent the day preparing, ensuring his co-conspirators were in position, and finalizing his escape route, a testament to his calculated ruthlessness. The stage was Ford's Theater, where Lincoln, along with his wife Mary Todd Lincoln, was attending a performance of Our American Cousin. Booth's access to the theater was effortless thanks to his celebrity status. He arrived at the theater armed with a Derringer pistol and a dagger. He bided his time, waiting for the right moment, a blend of theatrical timing and cold-blooded intent. At approximately 10:15 p.m., as the audience's attention was ensnared by the play, Booth stealthily entered the presidential box. With a single shot from his Derringer, he struck Lincoln in the head. The shot, though fatal, was quiet, initially leading to confusion in the box and among the audience. In the immediate aftermath, Booth's escape was as dramatic as it was desperate. He leaped from the box to the stage, a 12-foot drop, in an act of theatrical flourish that resulted in a broken leg. His cry of Sic Semper Tyrannis, Virginia's state motto, and a phrase associated with the assassination of tyrants, was laced with irony and delusion. He believed he was enacting a heroic deed, aligning himself with Brutus, the assassin of Julius Caesar. The theater erupted into pandemonium. Mary Todd Lincoln's screams pierced the confusion, signaling the gravity of the situation. The audience, initially unsure whether Booth's actions were part of the play, was soon engulfed by the realization of the tragedy. Booth, using the ensuing chaos to his advantage, fled the scene. Meanwhile, Booth's co-conspirators faltered in their missions. Lewis Powell, tasked with killing William Seward, managed to injure him severely but failed to kill him. George Atzerodt, assigned to assassinate Andrew Johnson, lost his nerve and fled. Ulysses S.E. Grant, who was supposed to attend the play with Lincoln, had left town earlier. Booth's grand design crumbled, leaving the Lincoln assassination as its only tragic accomplishment. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln plunged the nation into mourning and sparked one of the most intense manhunts in American history. Booth's act, far from reviving the Confederate cause, marked its final moral defeat and turned Booth from a celebrated actor into America's most notorious assassin. The night of April 14, 1865, forever changed the course of American history, leaving a nation to grapple with the consequences of one man's catastrophic ambition. After assassinating President Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth, with a freshly broken leg, and his accomplice David Harold, embarked on a harrowing escape. Their first stop was Surrattsville, Maryland, where they had previously arranged for firearms and other supplies to be hidden at Mary Surratt's Tavern. This stop was crucial. It equipped them for the uncertain journey ahead. The duo, under the cloak of night, then galloped towards their next destination, evading immediate detection in the tumult following the assassination. At around 4 a.m. on April 15th, Booth and Harold, navigating through darkened paths, arrived at the home of Dr. Samuel Mudd in Maryland. Mudd, who had previously met Booth but was unaware of the assassination, provided medical assistance, setting Booth's fractured leg. Mudd's aid to Booth, though seemingly innocuous at the time, would later lead to his arrest and conviction as a conspirator, marking a stark turn in his life. The duo's next move was to find a secure hiding spot. They sought refuge at the home of Samuel Cox, a known Confederate sympathizer. Cox, understanding the gravity of harboring the fugitives, directed them to a remote pine thicket on his property. Here, Booth and Harold remained for several days, concealed by the dense foliage, with Thomas Jones, another sympathizer, clandestinely providing them with food, newspapers, and updates on the manhunt. In this hideout, Booth encountered the harsh reality of his situation through newspaper reports. Contrary to his expectations of being celebrated as a hero, he was vilified and denounced nationwide. This revelation was a stark blow to Booth, who had envisioned his act as a noble contribution to the Confederate cause. Meanwhile, the manhunt for Lincoln's assassin became one of the largest in history. Thousands of soldiers, detectives, and law enforcement officers were mobilized. The government offered a $100,000 reward, equivalent to over $1.5 million today. An unprecedented sum, signaling the enormity of the crime. The search extended into Maryland and Virginia as investigators followed leads, however tenuous. After several days in hiding, Booth and Harold, guided by Jones, attempted to cross the Potomac River into Virginia, seeking refuge in a region more sympathetic to their cause. Their first crossing attempt failed, leading them back into Maryland. Undeterred, they made a second attempt, finally reaching Virginia on April 23rd. As Booth and Harold ventured deeper into Virginia, their situation grew increasingly precarious. The massive manhunt, the scale of which was unparalleled in American history, was closing in. Booth's initial confidence waned as he grappled with the crushing weight of his actions and the reality of his dwindling options. His journey, marked by desperation and evasion, was a race against time, with the forces of the Union relentlessly on his trail. The manhunt for John Wilkes Booth and David Harold intensified. The fugitives faced mounting challenges. Their journey was fraught with missteps, partly due to Booth's debilitating leg injury and their poor navigation skills. Attempting to cross the Potomac River, they lost their way, inadvertently circling back into Maryland. Their plight was exacerbated by the reluctance or outright refusal of previously sympathetic individuals to offer assistance. One such encounter occurred with William Lucas, a Southern sympathizer who was coerced by Booth into providing shelter. This tense interaction underscored the growing desperation of the assassins and the waning support for their cause. By April 24th, Booth and Harold found temporary refuge at Richard Garrett's farm in Virginia. Garrett, misled by Booth's claim of being a wounded Confederate soldier, unwittingly harbored the fugitives. However, as news of the assassination and the ensuing manhunt spread, suspicion loomed. Garrett, sensing something amiss, decided to confine Booth and Harold to a tobacco barn on his property. This decision, made out of a mix of caution and fear, inadvertently set the stage for the final act of this tragic saga. In the pre-dawn hours of April 26th, the climax of the manhunt unfolded. Union soldiers, acting on information provided by Willie Jett, a Confederate soldier and acquaintance of Harold, converged on Garrett's farm. As they surrounded the barn, Booth and Harold found themselves trapped, the walls of the barn becoming the barriers of their final stronghold. Inside the barn, a tense standoff ensued. Harold, facing the inevitability of capture, pleaded with Booth to surrender. However, Booth, defiant to the end, refused. Instead, he prepared for a final, desperate confrontation. Harold eventually surrendered, leaving Booth alone in the barn. As the standoff reached its zenith, Union soldiers, under the command of Lieutenant Edward P. Doherty, resorted to setting the barn on fire, intending to smoke Booth out. The flames rapidly engulfed the structure, creating a hellish tableau. Booth, still inside, was determined not to be taken alive. In the chaos, Boston Corbett, a Union soldier, spotted Booth through the cracks in the barn and, defying orders to capture Booth alive, shot him. The bullet struck Booth in the neck, paralyzing him. Dragged from the barn, Booth's final moments were spent on the porch of Garrett's farmhouse. As he lay dying, Booth requested to see his hands, uttering his last words, "Useless, useless." At 7:15 a.m., John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of President Abraham Lincoln, died, marking the end of one of the most dramatic and consequential manhunts in American history. Booth's death marked the culmination of a 12-day manhunt that had gripped the nation. His final moments were a stark contrast to the fame and adulation he once enjoyed as an actor. The repercussions of his actions echoed far beyond his death, reshaping the course of American history and leaving a legacy of infamy that endures to this day. The saga of John Wilkes Booth, from revered actor to reviled assassin, remains a poignant reminder of the profound impact of individual actions on the course of history. If this narrative resonated with you, do support us. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us to the end. See you in the next video on Plaid Chronicles.